What's up, everyone? JP here with the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. We are here again today for our talking crafty about some tools, kind of reviewing some stuff. Today we're talking about airbrushes. As some of you guys know, I have about 8 airbrushes that I use in my system, and it's kind of would I do it again, kind of stuff like that we're going to look at. Let's get into it. Let me share my table and you guys will be able to see some of the stuff we got here and we'll go from there. So, I wanted to get an airbrushing with my model making. I have been painting for quite some time, several years, and I've always wanted to get an airbrushing, but no matter how I looked at it and how I sliced it, it's a big investment. It does. It's not like you can go out and buy the Tester's Airbrush Kit with a can of compressed air and for $20 or $30 and go at it. Although that's how I started in airbrushing way back when I was a kid. And so when some things came about in my life that allowed me to make the decision to purchase an airbrush, I went to my local hobby shop, Freedom Gaming. It's in Canton, Ohio, where I live. And they kind of talked to me, hey, here's an idea for this. And they're a big pusher of Iwata products. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I did a bunch of research before I bought anything. That's my first piece of advice. Do your research. Look up everything you can. You want to know what you're talking about. Gravity feed, siphon feed, double action, single action, and I'll kind of talk about some of that, but you want to look it up for yourself and really kind of get to know what you're getting into, because frankly, one of my airbrushes is a substantial purchase of several $100s, and making that choice, having never airbrushed before, I did so much research that I kind of was able to do it without breaking anything or worrying about breaking anything. But I also know with that airbrush from doing the research that I could find repair parts and that kind of stuff for a reasonable amount. It's kind of like if you go out and buy an exotic car. You're going to pay a high ticket price for an exotic car, or you could buy something like, not to rip on it, but a Honda Civic. A car gets you places, an airbrush paints. You can buy a really, really expensive one that's all it kind of does. But if you don't have the parts, if you damage the needle, if you something like that, well, then you're up a creek without a paddle. You just wasted all that money and you can't fix it. So one of the things I looked at before I bought an Iwata was, can I replace it? Can I fix it? Can I, that kind of thing. So I did purchase an Iwata. I bought a Revolution, and that's this airbrush here. It was, I think, around $130, somewhere in there. So for some of you that might be astronomical, for some of you that might be very affordable. Airbrushes can go crazy. But I did a lot of research, and this, to me, having used all the other airbrushes I have, this is a Cadillac. This thing is amazing. It's so easy to take apart, take down. If you watch our reviews from earlier on our crafting video on Monday, you know that I accidentally didn't clean it out, or didn't clean it out well enough after my last use. And I took it apart and had it completely clean and working, I think, in less than 15 minutes. It's very easy to use. I love it. It is a double action. So what a double action means is when I push this button here, which obviously it's not connected to air, but when I push the button, air will come out. Now, how it works is, though, air is coming out, and then you slowly pull back. You can see that I'm pulling back on the trigger. That pulls a needle, this needle here, and you'll see it move backwards, just ever so slightly. And so there's a needle running the length of this airbrush. And so you pull the needle, you can see in the middle of that, inside that cup, that line, that's the needle. And so as you pull it back, it allows a space for the paint to get through as the air runs through it. So that's kind of how a double action works. all of my airbrushes that I have are double action. I didn't go out and say I wanted double action. This I wanted to be a double action, but the other brushes that I have are more for expediting painting and making it so I can get big things and many things done at once without having to change. But I use my Iwata is my detail brush, my what I use on miniatures and that kind of thing, and then the rest of these things are like when I'm doing cars and priming and that kind of stuff. So that's the Iwata. I will let's get rid of that. We don't need it. I will take it here. I'll just take it apart for you guys so you can see. So you've got, there's always some sort of casing, whatever like that. This screw here holds the needle in place. There's a markings on here, and as you tighten it, it actually squeezes tight on the needle. And then the needle will just pop out there. And apparently I didn't clean out the needle very well again, but so then you have this piece here comes in two parts. Some airbrushes it doesn't, and my Harbor Freights don't come apart. But you have these two pieces here, so you can see them, 1 and 2. And then I'm not going to take it off, but there is the nozzle. You can actually, there's a tool in a cleaning kit, and I recommend if you get an airbrush, get a cleaning kit. It is absolutely vital. And then this part here unscrews. And this is kind of what the trigger and what feeds through the nozzle. So as the trigger is pulled, this little piece here, so you can see that moves back and forth. And then out comes your trigger, and that's kind of, obviously taking out the needle, or not the needle, the nozzle. That's your basic of it, and then putting it back is just, this is the most difficult part, and I might have to hide my head because I have to be able to look down here, but you have to get that, there we go, you have to get that peg back in there. Getting that back in there like that. And I will wipe off that needle while I have it out, just because I think I actually cleaned it, and then immediately I was like, oh, I want to put a clear coat on something. And so this, since we're looking at it, I just knocked an airbrush over. This is an Iwata cleaning kit. I think it was like 30 bucks. I recommend it. It's absolutely outstanding. Everything you need for cleaning something, like for your cleaning any airbrush. So it's got these great wipes inside for like studio wipes, what they're called. And just a couple spurts of this, and it'll take all that off there. Now, I was painting with enamels, and I had given the brush a very thorough cleaning afterwards, and then I go, oh my gosh, I want to do the... it was for the D44 blaster, or DL44 blaster I was doing. I wanted to do a clear coat. So... But, yeah, and your needle, you want to make sure it is... this is, like I said, the key component of your airbrush. So, if you'd seen that little... There was a bit of dirt in between that line. That can clog up your airbrush. Paint can't get through now, that kind of stuff. And that's what happened on the live stream. It wasn't well clean enough. I got to get better, cleaning these things. I had to clean a couple airbrushes, though. So, I just... But, yeah, take care of your crap. I need to do better at that. So, it just slides in there. You shouldn't have any resistances going in. Don't force it in. That's what she said. So you just tighten that up a bit, and then you've got your outer cap. And like I said, simple enough. It is... Cleaning this thing is just, it's so user friendly in my opinion. This thing's great. Like I said, it's absolutely user friendly. I'm not saying it's for novices. Like I said, it's very expensive. It's a great piece of kit. I can't do without it. Ever since I've gotten an airbrush, I look for ways to use one. So this thing's outstanding. If you're looking to start off though, for less bang for your buck, and you can break it, you can destroy it. Everybody rips on it, but Harbor Freight makes this airbrush. It's a siphon feed. This thing comes with it. You can throw this away. This thing's a piece of crap. And the reason is the feed is like up here, and so you have to fill up to like this line for paint. But no matter how you put it in here, if I have it like this, well, if I go to this point, all the paint's going to spill out. And if you watch my live stream, I first tried to use this for the first time ever on that stream, and all the paint started falling out, and I couldn't get it to feed, and I just quit using it. What I use this airbrush for, other than priming and that kind of thing, is it comes with these great siphon feed bottles, and you can get more of these bottles. I think I have sets of 10 of them you can buy on Amazon for like $10. And so I bought a bunch of them. Obviously, this is Forest Moss. It's an acrylic. Sorry, there's a little bit of glare there from the light. But I just mixed up paint. Like for my acrylics, if it's an enamel, I'll mark it. I mean, there's cleaner, my gloss paint that I mixed up, and obviously I have to give these a good shake before I would use them. But I'm not going to do it, but I can pop off the top and just throw it into the airbrush, and I'm ready to go. And that's why I have all these other airbrushes here, and I'm going to talk about these two. This one, and I'll talk about, this is a set. I'll talk about those in a second. But if you're looking to start out, this airbrush, and I have it pulled up here, it's called the Deluxe Airbrush from Central Pneumatic. It is from Harbor Freight. You get what you're paid for. So it is a double action. You can see I'll tell you right now, there's so much wobble in this trigger though. And they have this, all the airbrushes, it seems like that they have this thing where you screw it, and it essentially makes your airbrush a single action, because it'll hold your trigger back, so it's already pulling the needle out a bit, and so if you just push down, a little bit of paint will come out, which it's not a horrible idea. But again, I use these airbrushes here, not my Iwata, but I use these airbrushes here for doing a like prime coat or like base coats. So like I said, like these are mixed up Forest Moss, Camel, Old Ivy. I have a lot of greens, grays. You guys know I do a lot of D&D stuff. Chocolate wood. I can get a whole base coat on and then do my detail work with my Iwata, or going in with painting with a live paintbrush. I prefer to use actual paintbrushes. It's just for the fine detail work oftentimes, because it's how I've been painting for years. And so but you saw it take out apart the Iwata. This thing is almost identically designed. They have this cut in here, so you could theoretically take the needle out in between, but I mean, who really cares? So this needle's a much thicker gauge and that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to take the whole thing apart, but it's almost identical in the central design of it. The one thing though, like I said, there's a lot of give in that trigger, so getting the needle back in, this isn't, you get what you paid for. Like I said, this thing's $21.99, and you can probably get a 20% off coupon from Harbor Freight when you go to buy it. But I would recommend, before you buy an Iwata or something like that, get yourself one of these. Try it out, test it out, just so you can get used to the motion of, pushing, giving it a little bit of pull back, and get used to just practicing putting on coats before you make the big purchase. I'm not going to show mine right now, but we can do a video, another episode about airbrush booths and air compressor if you guys are interested. Give me a hit in the comments if you are interested in that. I will put that on the docket. But like I said, this thing's a good starting point. There's just one. It comes with one of these siphon bottles, this useless piece of shit, and like a wrench and some other tool. But it's a good way to learn, and also it's like I said, I use it for priming. You know, you can make a lot of paint in here, and you just pop it on. You know, it's not in a bad, uncomfortable position. I can get my hand in there, and then obviously you have your line running in between your hand. I can use, since it's a similar make, you know, it's with the line there. It's, you know, and there you go. You're moving, you're going. Pretty simple. So, but I do recommend this brush if you're getting started out, you're wanting to learn. Like I said, it's $20. You would have to also grab a line. I got these from Harbor Freight. These things are great. I actually think I like these lines better than Iwata, to be honest with you. The Iwata line is a thin, black, almost like rubberized coating. Not saying it's better like that. I just prefer the heavier line. So yeah. But then I wanted to talk about this big boy. So this comes in a huge set from Harbor Freight, and all these lines are hooked up. You can actually have hooked up to one airbrush. There's, if you guys can see, you can see this central air line right here. That's what goes to your air compressor. And then each one of these screws, you can actually independently open the line or close them just based on these screws. You do have a gauge here to tell you it never goes above 40 on mine. And this thing's awesome in the sense of if you are painting a whole bunch of crap. You know, if I'm doing a bunch of terrain, you know, let's say I print out a bunch of 3D printable scenery from Printable Scenery, but when you're doing a bunch of stuff and you prepped a lot, and I'm going to do a paint day, and I'm going to get through a lot of stuff. This thing is great because, like, for instance, I can have blue. You put it in the blue airbrush to make it. I mean, you don't have to obviously do that. That's just they're literally interchangeable. There's no difference. And again, it's a double action brush, just like the other brushes I showed you. Just a little bit of a different design. I will say that this airbrush, these feel better made. It's not so much wobble in the trigger if you see versus, you know, 130. It's there is a difference in how it's made and how it works and how it functions. But these brushes, you get 6 with the set. You get this stand. You get 6 air lines for each one of the airbrushes. You also get 6 siphon bottles. And then these airbrushes come with these like little metal caps. I've never used them. But yeah, it's a pretty decent set if you're trying to paint a lot. It is $170, but if you've ever been to Harbor Freight, and I recommend a lot of them if you're trying to add to your hobby shop, or just if you're trying to add to tools in general. President's Day sale, Memorial Day sale, weekend sale, garage sale. They do all this stuff, and they offload all these tools, and you can get huge discounts on stuff. But again, they have this weird. It's almost like they're trying to turn a double action. Plug this up into my Iwata air compressor. It actually, I thought the lines would be leaking all the time. There is no plumber's tape or like that on any of these lines. And I think my compressor goes off if I'm not spraying maybe once every 6 hours if I kept it on. So it's really well plumbed, to be honest with you. Would I buy this again? Absolutely. This thing's awesome. For what I can do and how, I mean, now if you're not airbrushing it, if you're doing a bunch of stuff and you're a 3D printer and you want to make you got to paint like a whole dungeon, you know, you're doing tons of different colors. This is great because the change out of colors between each airbrush, you know, swap in your cleaner bottle so you can spray out your brush, and then you gotta, you know, so on and so forth. Doing this, you got all the colors there so you can use your base colors, and then you have your one brush that you are changing out every so often. And that's kind of how I've gone about it. So yeah, this thing is, it's called the 6 Color Airbrush Kit with holder. This thing's pretty sweet. Like I said, though, it is $170, so this should probably be one of your last pieces of kit that you get it. I did buy like a stand, another stand, before I ever got this, because the first two airbrushes I got were, you know, this guy and my Iwata, and it's just great. And so it's off to the side. You're not worried about, oh crap, it fell over. I mean, when you got a gravity feed, if this thing twists over, now you just got paint everywhere. That's why I do like these bottles, but with the Iwata, I want a gravity feed, absolutely. Like, this is preferable. Here's how this system works. The cleaning kit, since I've got it out here, I did throw in a couple things in here, so everything in here is not total. There's a couple, like this is a quick connector from Harbor Freight, but for the most part, like all the stuff that's labeled. So if you have different airbrushes, this thing came with, you know, Badger lines and Pache lines, that kind of stuff. I think that came with my compressor, so don't quote me on that. But it did come with some really cool tools. You have this. I did show it in the live stream, but you have a 30 times and 60 time. And there is a light on this, if you can see the light there. And then you have another light as well. But what you do with this is when you're cleaning your brush, you can look down the nozzle and see if you have a clog or something like that. So it's a very useful tool there. You can never go wrong with pipe cleaners. If you are getting an airbrushing, you want to have a bunch of these. Once you pull the needle out, so you just slip it in there, and this is great. It'll also have, like I said, these studio wipes. I love the studio wipes. It's not like using a baby wipe or something like that. It's like they're very, I don't want to say soapy, but as soon as you put them on something, it just goes to town. This is that tool I was talking about, that when you remove your nozzle, there is a bevel in there of like a, you know, flat end, and so this fits. You want to be very careful, but you just slowly put it on there, and then once you feel that drop in, you can unscrew that, and that way you can, you know, remove the nozzle and use these little brushes to get in there. And then the final piece of kit that comes in this set is this Iwata brush. This is not a paint brush. These are very like plasticky bristles, but they are the best for getting inside the bowl and cleaning out the bowl. And so that's, and then obviously airbrush cleaner. Buy a big bottle of this. I use airbrush cleaner like it's on fire. You're gonna use it all the time. But that's just the basic cleaning kit. I think like I said, this thing's like $30. But again, the purchase of an airbrush set, a good one. I didn't skimp when I bought a compressor. Some people, I've seen a bunch of reviews of people saying, you know, you don't need a really expensive air compressor. You can buy a cheapo. You can buy, you know, whatever, something from Harbor Freight. For me, this is my studio. I do live stream. This is, you know, where I work and that kind of stuff. I don't want to have a loud compressor, and I don't want to have it going a lot and that kind of stuff. So I did pay the money, outstanding, but I've never compared it to anything else. So I can't tell you one way or the other what compressor works. What I have works. But with everything else, though, I would recommend, before buying an Iwata, like a, you know, really fine end, unless you have already kind of got a little basis of airbrushing, I would recommend, you know, get something that you could bring. But the Iwata is what I'd recommend. And this, like I said, this is an Iwata Revolution. One other thing I want to show you for airbrushing, that it's a stupid object, but this is the coolest, probably the best tool when it comes to airbrushing. If you have an airbrush and you don't have one of these, I recommend it. Again, Harbor Freight. Iwata does make these too. My local game shop sells them. I think they sell them for like, and there's a filter in there. And so what you do is you have your airbrush, and you put your cleaner, or, you know, let's say you're trying to clean out your airbrush, or you've got paint in the line, you're trying to, you know, empty the bowl. Obviously this doesn't make logical sense because I've got a huge siphon here, but If I was using, let's say, the Iwata, and you can see, you can always look in there and see if you can see the needle, then then you're almost empty. If you don't see the needle, obviously you've got a bit left. But what you can do is you just put your nozzle inside of here, and you can see it just fits in easily, and then pull it back, let it rip, and just you let it go, and you'll actually see almost like a mist come out of the back end. And so that's how you can clean out your airbrush. And then pour in some cleaner, some thinner, depending on what you're using, if you're using a after. But this thing is so simple. It's just it's gonna look gross because I haven't cleaned it in a while, but it's just, you use paint and cleaner, and it just, when you spray, it goes down, it hits this, and then it mists out. And then with the filter in there, obviously if you're using enamels and that kind of stuff, wear a mask. Use a well ventilated area, all that safety crap. I do use all that kind of stuff. If you've seen my setup, I do have a airbrush booth that is vented to the window, and it actually has filters that draw out the air. So this thing is outstanding. It's like $20 from Harbor Freight. It's made by Central Pneumatic as well. Actually, I'm sorry, this is like $10. I'm looking at it here. It's $9.99, this thing, which is just awesome. If you have an airbrush, get one from Harbor Freight. I'm not even a brand snob on this. It's not that it's Iwata sells it for like 20 or 30 or 50, somewhere in there. It's something crazy. And I use this. You can see how much paint's on it. I don't care. Like this thing is like, it's just for cleaning your airbrush, and it's so simple and so stupid, but yet easy. And you're not like spraying, excess in your booth. Making it so you breathe it. It goes inside this bottle, and you don't have to worry about it. So this is one thing that I want to throw out there. It's the airbrush cleaning bottle. Bunch of companies have it, but like I said, Harbor Freight's got it for under $10. So really simple, really easy, very cool. Yeah. And then, like I said, you can grab these jars. These didn't come from Harbor Freight, but I grabbed them off Amazon. I pre-mixed my paint, and then what I would do is I put them in my paint mixer. You guys have seen that in episode 1. So they're ready to go, and then all I have to do is just plug it in, and I'm off to the races. Getting ready to blow air or blow paint for my shop. In some cases, it only takes 2 minutes. Line. Sorry about that. But these are normally wired in directly into my air compressor, and it's just a quick, here we go, and I'm ready to go. So that's my recommendations, guys. My review. Like I said, I wouldn't be serious about this. Is getting a Iwata Revolution. I swear by this airbrush. It's outstanding. If you're doing like car models and stuff, maybe, these things, like I said, are great for, because they got such the siphon feed, while this doesn't hold that much paint. If you saw me do my video on building the DL44 blaster, I had to refill my Iwata because I use that primarily for. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, I want to keep on doing this stream every Thursday. We'll talk tools, and then obviously Mondays I'm making stuff. So I will show you real quick because I'm really proud of it. This is the paint job on the DL44 blaster, just the lower receiver. I'm still waiting for some stuff to come in. I want to do some rub and buff and all that kind of stuff. But the grips came out great. This is just 3D printed plastic, all of it. I think, unless there's no questions, comments, concerns, I will let you guys all go. Have a great day. We will be on live stream on Saturday. We'll probably play some Fortnite with some of the buds, because I want to keep that going. There's pretty much. I'm not saying that money's no option. That's not at all. I don't just go out and buy stuff, but the tools often help you do your job, and I take modeling seriously. I really enjoy it, and I want to make it, as painless as possible. There's some things that are just drive you insane, and so just today I ordered for my airbrush set a car model. It's actually a stand, so I can hold the car model and then paint over top of it. As you guys probably saw when we were doing the live stream, I have these tools that, I'll probably do a review. Great. So that's what this channel's all about is, one, talking about making stuff, but then also reviewing the tools and introducing you guys to some stuff. Because, honestly, that's how I learn about this stuff, too, is, I hear somebody tell me at a convention or a meeting up with somebody, hey, you tried this, have you seen that? No. Where is it? What is it? Who made it? That kind of thing. So, alright, guys. Well, I am JP with the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. Thanks for hanging out with us. Like I said, if you've got questions, comments, concerns, please let us know in the comments. Please give us a like, give us a follow. Share this knowledge and hit you guys up with anything you're interested in. And, so let your guys' paintbrush tell the tale. I will see you guys in the next one. Keep modeling, keep crafting, and have a good night, guys. I'll see ya.